What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Sandy De Jesus. I've been a freelancer for about 6 years, / creative director, / photographer, videographer, basically everything. Today I'm going to show you guys basically the top reasons why you should become a photographer in 2022. I've worked with people like Dennis Rodman, J-Lo, Gary Vaynerchuk, the Giants, the list goes on and on and on, but let's get straight to the video. Number one reason why you should become a photographer is because if you love photography, you should do it. One thing I learned from DJ White Shadow's story is that if you love something, you should just commit fully. You don't want to regret anything in life. You don't want to think about, man, what if I did this? What if I did that? Doing photography is a great way to set up a side business, set up side income, and maybe even go full time. Photography, if it's a hobby of yours, if you're interested, do it. There's no time like the present, so get to it, get aggressive, and get to work, man. Like, photography is fun, it's great for money, all these different reasons, and don't even think about all the negatives, just think about all the positives, because if you get stagnant on the negative, you'll never do it. And if you never do it, you'll never know whether or not you could actually get it done. And if you're thinking about whether or not you'll be good or not, you're gonna be terrible. I can tell you that now, you're gonna be terrible, but like I said, if you love it, you'll get better, you'll practice, you'll put a routine in place. Number two, everybody thinks about, man, I don't have a camera, I don't have anything, I don't have that. Guys, your phones nowadays have enough megapixels in the lenses that like you can shoot really good photography. Start with what you have, right? Start with what you have, use your phone, take pictures, and use social media. Social media is free. You don't need to pay to create an Instagram. You don't need to pay to create a Facebook. You don't need to pay to create all these platforms. Start with what you have and get better. Put a routine in place and get better and work towards the camera that you do want, right? Set the camera that will excite you, right? Because I definitely didn't start with my phone. I started with a camera, but it was a free camera that was handed to me by like somebody in my network, right? So I started with what I had. I worked for what I wanted and it motivated me to practice. So then I ended up just getting the camera that I wanted in the first place. Number three reason why you should become a photographer in 2022 is because there's a huge market for it. We talked a little bit earlier about social media. Social media is a job. People get paid. People get paid to take photos with objects. Influencers get paid all the time to take photos. And if you're thinking, man, I'm not an influencer. The only reason why you're not an influencer is because you haven't put the time in, you haven't put the work in to amass that following and amass that followership to consider yourself an influencer. If you become a photographer freelance, now you're getting paid, right? And one thing that got me started was that I wanted to become a videographer, and I'll make a video on why you should become a videographer in 2022 to make sure to subscribe. And I was like, man, I had no idea that you could get paid to do videos for other people. I had no idea that you could get paid to do photography for other people. But it's one thing that definitely once I found out, I was like, man, I'm gonna hop on social media and I'm gonna reach out to as many people as I can. And I'm gonna get paid for this. I'm gonna get paid to practice because I needed the money. I didn't wanna work at a job because I think about like, man, what was I practicing for at my job? Think about that at your current job. If you're thinking about becoming a photographer full-time, especially and trying to quit your job, what are you practicing for at your job? What is your job teaching you to become? If you become a photographer, you can implement practices that'll like eventually make you a full-time photographer and you'll get better every single day. One thing that like I had to learn as I got older is that hard work does pay off. If you put in enough work, it'll always pay off. Think about that phrase, right? If you put in enough work. Well, if I put in enough work, that means I put in enough work, which means I got what I wanted. The hard work will pay off. Just grind. If you love it, it'll never feel like work because you'll just be doing what you love, right? Obviously, that doesn't always apply, right? You're gonna hate it sometimes. You're not gonna wanna do it sometimes, but that's just your negative mindset coming in. I would recommend adopt a positive mindset. Adopt a positive mindset. Tell yourself, you know what? No, I am going to make it because I have to. Not that I will, because sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll fail. You have to get back on your feet, but you have to make it. And if you love it, you'll keep telling yourself, man, I'm the best. If I put in enough work, I'll become the best. So that's what I did. And then some tips that I have is start with what you have, obviously, right? Like start with your camera, start with your phone. If you have a friend, start with that camera. If you could borrow a camera, and just get to work, man. Just get to work. It'll always pay off. Study and recreate. When I first started doing videography, one thing I did was just copy people on YouTube. I copied Casey Neistat. I copied a bunch of people that like, you know, I just didn't know what I was doing, so I just copied people because I loved what I was doing and I didn't care about how bad I was. I knew I wanted to get good, so I got to work. Practice once a day and compete. You guys have to understand that you're competing with other photographers, especially if you're trying to become a freelancer, especially if you're trying to compete, right? And you care about like kind of like people's acceptance. which is something, I mean, I care about, because like that's how I kind of measure my success, is whether or not people are vibing with it. Obviously, like if you don't vibe with it, that's fine. I mean, I've lived my entire life with people not vibing with my work, pretty much. So I don't really care. But when people do start to, appreciate and tell you, wow, that photography is awesome, it's a great feeling, right? Like when I post something on Instagram, people are like, man, I love this. Like, man, that feels great. And compete, right? I came from New York City, so I was competing in New York City. There's a ton of creatives in New York City, so I got in a network and I competed. I looked at everybody else's work, I recreated it, I asked them for help, I studied, and I got to work, I got competitive. And that made sure that not only I was getting better, but I also put a practice in place to get better every single day. And it paid off, it paid off. I mean, if you guys go on my Instagram right now, at I'm Super Sandy, I got pretty good. I got pretty good because I practice as often as possible. I didn't practice every day, right? Like I'm still trying to get better. I'm still trying to grow. But from where I started to where I am now, completely different story. If you're looking into cameras and you're thinking about becoming a full-blown videographer, a full-blown freelancer, not just a photographer, I'd recommend the camera that I'm using to film right now. It's a Sony a7 III. It's about $2,000. But the reason why I think that's super affordable is because it comes with 2 SD card slots. If you try to get that on a Canon, you're already paying like over $3K. It shoots at 4K. Again, same thing for Canon. It would like just go crazy. It shoots at slow-mo, 120 FPS. So you could do so many different things. I believe it has like 24 megapixels. So like the photography for this is perfect for social media. If you're posting it on social media, it's gonna get down-resed anyways. So I think this is a perfect camera to get started. If you can't afford it, start with what you have, make it a goal of yours, and grind. If you guys have any questions around photography, freelance, anything like that, make sure you guys comment it down below. I'm gonna be talking about everything social media, everything content creation, everything I've learned over the last 6 years. So if you have any questions, comment them down below. Make sure to follow for just like daily updates on just information. Again, it's important to compete. I'll give you guys everything I know. You guys can study it and then hopefully strive to become better than me. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a thumbs up. I'm gonna be dropping 3 videos a day. It's gonna be very challenging, but I'm trying to compete, right? Make sure you subscribe, share with your friends, and let's get to work, man. 2022 is a good year to get rich. Let's do it.